Hello guys, it's White Witch 110 here. How is everybody doing? I have been thinking lately about my channel and coming to a lot of frustrations in regards to a few things. The crafting has been one, that's for sure. But I believe that what I'm going to be doing is going and visiting stuff I've done in the past and doing it again. Some of it may be a bit different, some of it may be the same, because I'm sure there are a few people who either haven't looked back at my crafting videos or who weren't around when I first did the crafts. Also, I'll be revisiting some of the stories that I've written in the past for the first Vlogtober that I did, and also be informing you on some of the haunted locations throughout Canada, and some of them here right in my own backyard, so to speak. And I have spoken on those a couple of times already, and also giving you my experiences in these places as well. So I'll be looking at doing that. I have a binder, luckily enough, that I kept all of my notes in. So I'll be able to refer to that, which would be extremely helpful. It is overcast here and raining slightly. It's about a 8:15. I've been working on my large witch diamond painting. Oh boy. I hadn't touched it for a while because of the heat here. I just did not feel like working on it at all. But I picked it up again last night. Now my sister from another Mr. Winter Moon Tanny, she has completed hers. And she was the one telling me to slow down. But I started to do the top part of the skirt, and then I realized, wait a minute, I was going to do the outside first, then do the skirt. So I did some of that this evening, and I started it late, so I decided that was enough for tonight. But that I would come out and begin reading the latest story that I have been working on, that I have rewritten a few times. Matter of fact, I think I deleted 3 pages today and rewrote them. Crazy. Okay, how do I have this all on my tablet. This little guy here, Norman, he was made for me by one of the gentlemen where we work. Thank you so much, Dwight. And the year before this, he made a lantern for me. This is the 3D. And last year, he made 3 little ghosts for me. But you'll be seeing all those guys as it goes along. I really like this. It looks really, really good. Okay. So right now, this story is called Water's Deep. And here we go. Spirits of the city, a place centuries old, would have to retain memories of the past. The energy is thick in the atmosphere. You stroll along the sidewalks downtown. Who walks beside you unseen? Have you felt a breeze with no reason for it? Did you experience a whisper near your ear? Have you imagined history when you walk the streets? I have often wondered what those who came before would make of life now. Would they be repulsed by progress? Would they consider us a lethargic lot? Everything at a push of a button. Cars that drive themselves. They would find it humorous in placing us back in time. How complacent has the city become? I walked along the city streets, observing people surrounding me. Their chatter was meaningless words spewed out across the air. Just jabber, that's all. No one was actually listening. I grew tired quickly and wished silence would descend upon the city. Have time to think of nothing and enjoy the sounds of nature. We're in the flight path tonight. Sorry about that. Enjoy the sounds of nature. It seemed like years since I had heard only the voice of a bird. Even the sound of a squirrel was lost in the traffic. The tiny chipmunk running tree to tree in search of ground not covered in cement. I felt sorry for these amazing creatures and what they existed in. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know how to pause, so I just shut it off. The city was losing its appeal for me. The constant commotion, 24/7. When would it ever rest? The dilemma I faced was I didn't want to be in the country alone. I didn't want to be so far from civilization. What was I to do? Could I find a compromise? Living in the suburbs was an option, though my perception of people there was tainted. I pictured manicured lawns and neighbors walking their dogs, rows of driveways with one car parked outside the garage, garbage cans lined up at the curbs with large white numbers. That wasn't for me. I had reserved myself to the fact that I'd continue to be a city dweller. It was depressing, but I forced myself to see a positive. Technically, you're never alone. Everything is close to you that you need. Time went on, and the sirens were practically every night. I had to do something. I needed a change. My patience had worn extremely thin. The search began with much frustration. Places were too far or too expensive. Would the perfect place exist for me? I started to doubt. My faith in the universe stayed strong and was rewarded. The smallest ad in the local newspaper was my answer. An elderly couple had transitioned to an apartment. They were looking to rent their home as a supplement income. It was a more than reasonable asking for rent. I jumped in hopes no one else had. The couple insisted on an interview, so I obliged. They wanted to make sure they could trust the person renting, which I understood. I was to meet them at the house at 2 o'clock sharp. I was there at 10 to 2. They were impressed from the get-go. They asked the usual questions and requested references that I supplied. The house was perfect for one person. One level with 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, and a living room. The back door had been removed to make more wall space for cupboards, so there was ample storage for what I required. A day or two later, I received a call saying I had it. I expressed my gratitude for their timely decision. I moved in at the beginning of August. It was a hot day, and sweat dripped from my forehead. I took my time moving boxes myself. I hired a mover for the large furniture. Within a couple of days, I had everything in place. It was feeling like home. The elderly couple made a habit of dropping in to see how things were. At first, I accepted the fact that they wanted to be sure their decision had been the right one. Though after months of weekly visits, I felt it was an intrusion on my privacy. Yes, it was still their home, but I had rights as a renter. The day I decided to leave, I had been there nearly a year. My decision came when I arrived home from work to find the woman in my bedroom. Is there something I can help you with? I inquired. Oh no, dear, I seen a mouse. We'll arrange for pest control, she told me. Funny, I haven't seen any sign of one. I felt very uneasy. As she walked by me, she asked that I keep an eye on it. She was not pleased with my response. After she left, I went through my room to see if anything had been moved. A couple of trinket boxes moved, though everything was there. It was seconds when I noticed that one of my dresser drawers was open slightly. I pulled it the rest of the way out. My socks, which were neatly stored, were in a jumble now. I looked towards the bedroom door, wondering what she had been searching for. That day, I began looking for another place to live. Even going back to the city had been an option. It was an arduous task because I was so looking forward to staying where I was. The girls at work promised to keep their eyes out. I thanked them. The couple made fewer trips to the house after being caught in my room. I still went through each night to see if anything at all was out of the ordinary. I was always relieved when everything was as I had left it. 3 weeks later, I had acquired a place to live. It was where I hadn't wanted to go. Apartments and flats in the city were too expensive for my blood, so to the country I went. It was another small house, much more affordable. It had been built for the farmhand and his family. It had been years since it was in use. There was an option for me to buy. The main house was demolished earlier in the year. There I was, all alone, on a dark country road. I talked myself into believing I was safe. No one came out this far from the city. I really needed a break. The past few months had tested my nerves, and I was tired. What was I going to do for a vacation? I couldn't afford to go anywhere. Well, I decided to decorate the place with what little I had left in my vacation fund. A quick assessment of what I required, I drove to the city and collected my supplies. Upon returning, I was surprised to see a car parked in front of the house. My first thought was, not another pesky owner. I certainly was in no position to move this time. I left my purchases in the car, and walked up beside the car. What a shock. It was the elderly couple. I inquired as to what they were doing here and how they knew where I lived. They explained they had found a ring in the house and brought it to my work. The woman at the reception desk was kind enough to give them my address when they found out I was on holidays. The elderly woman held it up for me to take. I explained I had never seen the ring before. The couple asked if they could come in for a cup of coffee. I lied and said I hadn't any, and the house was a mess. I said I'd have them round once things were situated. They didn't seem pleased with my reply. I bid them farewell as their car turned and left. The vehicle moved slowly down the driveway. And I think I'll leave it there for this evening. And we will pick this up tomorrow. Hopefully. I'm just going to mark my place here. Okay. So what do you think is going on with this old couple? Any ideas? Leave some in the comments below. Because I'm not even sure right now what's up with them. I have a few ideas, but I haven't landed on one. So, until the next time, as always, ciao for now. Just adding a quick little note. Now, I don't know how this little creature got up here, but when I came out here to look at the plants, there was a dead cricket. I mean, I guess he was alive at one point, and that's likely who I've heard. I thought it seemed close, but I don't know how he got up here from all the way down there, because I don't think they fly. Matter of fact, I'm sure they don't. Now, I did have a little upsetting thing happen. The 2 plants that I saved from, well, over at our Loblaws, they still have some bags of earth, and they're, everybody would call them weeds, but I call them plants, had poked through, and I'd taken 2 of them different days and brought them home, put them in a shallow bowl with water. Why is it always, it looks brighter? Because this spot here doesn't look that bright in an actual person. Anyways. Yeah, when I checked them yesterday, now I was sure I had enough water in the bowl. And I brought another plant home yesterday. And when I looked, the bowl was dry. There was still some green, but it was in the leaves that were under the water. The rest of it had been outside. It was all shriveled up. I felt horrible. And even the poor roots, those little tiny, delicate roots. Oh, I felt so sick. I went, put more water in it. I checked it during, the evening, and I was happy to see that that it was doing okay, that the roots looked like they were coming back. So I was happy about that. I don't know what that is. So, but there's the plant there that I rescued. And it's in InShot, yes. And I actually got roots with that one. That's where he's going to be staying. And the other one, that little jumble right there, that's it. But there is green. You can see a bit of green. But the roots look really, really healthy. So I am more than sure that it's going to come back. There's the garlic. And a little shoot coming up there. And that's where the daisies were, the Libra daisies. The clematis, it's got no shoots. Now, I'm pretty sure this is mint now, because I've smelled the leaves. So that's cool. Anyhow, so my sister Tammy, Winter Moon Tammy, she suggested that I talk to the plant and play music, and I have been talking to the plant. So I put on some Hecate music last night. I left it there where the plants were, and then I came back out later and I put on another one. I used the YouTube videos, and then I did the same tonight. I put it out, put it a bit louder for the plants to listen to, something soothing. And yeah, so that's that. That's it. And I hope you all have a great night. Check you out.